Greetings fellow souls, it's your old John Vigzaret here. We're going to be looking at another joystick repair tutorial video. This is an Archer joystick, which is actually a rebranding of the original Spectravideo Quickshot 1. Now the Archer branding was something specific to the Radio Shack and Tandy stores. Now if you live in the United Kingdom they were called Tandys, but if you lived over in the United States they were called Radio Shack. And the great thing about those shops was they would sell a lot of high quality branded goods under their own names for quite a bit less, and that was all due to a good licensing deal. So you could buy Casio keyboards under the Realistic Concert Mate brand, and you could buy Quickshot joysticks or a few other things besides under their Archer brand. Okay, don't worry, we have the fire button here. But one thing that I found about this one is this is a really early model, and the reason why I say this is really early is because it uses the same contact system as an Atari CX40 or CX10. These sort of bare metal contacts are on the board, and you can just look at the circuitry design and say, yeah, that was made in the very early 1980s. Unfortunately though, the ring that was used to create the pressure for these contacts is broken. So we have the other piece here, and it seemed earlier in its life someone tried to sellotape it back together again. However, having a quick round of Junior Pac-Man on the Atari 2600 has shown that this would not lead to much longevity. So yeah, the aim is that you just want to clean this up, clean up everything inside. Once everything is sufficiently cleaned up, you may need to get that sticky residue off. Probably with maybe a bit of IPA or something. This is really the best glue you can get to repair old joysticks with. ABS, it works very well with ABS. It's known as hard plastic adhesive, made by Everbuild Stick 2. I've used this on my PowerPlay Cruiser and it's still going strong after 2 years, so this is how we're gonna go about with repairing this. Actually, come to think of it, now that I mentioned it, I would say it was about early 1980s, but I've just noticed we actually have a date code here, 1988, 1989, and whichever of these grids have a dot embossed in them will indicate when it was made. So this one was actually made in March, the third month of 1988, so this was manufactured in March 1988. Which is interesting because by 1988, really, there was only two real de facto standards for these joysticks. And that was either micro switch, leaf switch, or the very much dreaded rubber domed membrane, which actually could be quite nice to use. They were soft, they were quiet, but they had a tendency of wearing out very badly after extended gameplay. So typically we just use something like this, rubbing alcohol, an old toothbrush, and of course here's our broken piece. We're going to get this all cleaned up, so typically we just you could even spray the IPA on it. That's probably even better, but I don't really quite seem to have a spray bottle handy at the moment, so we just put the brush in there, put the bottle on the rag, put this like that, something or other, and we just go about sort of just scrubbing the perimeters. Scrubbing any of the actual main plastic area. We want the surface to be nice and clean before we apply any glue, otherwise it might not adhere quite as nicely. So go like that. And it's just like brushing your own teeth. And here comes the actual adhesion operation. Okay, so we see that this little ring is actually integral to the actual grip of the joystick, or at least the shaft that goes into the grip. So, yeah, it's a bit like a sort of target shape, like targeting crosshair shape. So, of course, hopefully I've got most of that sticky residue off. I don't think we've gotten even most of it off. But if the actual area where you're going to glue is clean, then we'll just go with that, because that's just me getting impatient, I suppose. No, I'm just tired. What should be a simple operation should be a simple operation, so you can work out exactly where things are going to stick. There we go, we just zoom in the camera a bit here. Whoa, 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 whoa. What you doing, camera? What are you doing to us? Okay. So there we have our piece. Thankfully, it's very clean breakage, so there's not going to be like little shards and shatters that we've got to look for and stick things into place. It's actually a very clean breakage, which is something we should be most thankful for, because it makes the adhesion job a lot simpler. Way more simpler, right? Our glue is already trying to bubble out the tube because it's annoying like that. And this might also be the bit where you might need something to hold. I don't have a third pet. I don't have a third hand. Oh dear. This stuff also dries quite quickly, so you need to work with it very fast. It goes kind of gel-like. You just sort of spread a very thin amount on this side. Rub away any excess that you don't want. Spread it. If you have any artistry as a cartoonist, you want to make use of that. Fine line of technical markers. Yep, that's me. Okay, and then we can put that in place. Use your fingernail to spread away any excess. Hold it there for about a minute or so. I don't know how well this is going to hold, but it did actually seem to work quite nicely for my Power Play Cruiser, so try and hold it. Well, then go with it really. But I need to get the cap back on this. Okay, that's actually sticking quite well. And that's it. Of course, it's very easy to get the whole joystick apart. It's just 4 screws on the base, which is a generic design that you'll find on most of the common joysticks of the time. 4 screws on the base, and there's typically around about 3 screws on the grip in case you need to service the fire buttons. Although on this particular model, those are working just fine, so I'd rather not tamper with those. If it isn't broken, then it doesn't need fixing. No doubt about that. Okay, rock on, fellow souls. I'll see you in the next video about whatever might be joysticks, might not be. In any case, stay rockin'.